Well, hello. And so this is the Wednesday night study, and what I'm doing this week because I am on vacation is that I'm not doing a in-depth theology discussion. I'm just giving a devotional, and I'll be getting into that in just a minute. But I also wanted to make a quick announcement, and that is that next week I'll be starting to change our midweek videos a little bit in that instead of my normal Wednesday theology video, it'll be broken into two videos a week. And so two 10-minute videos is what I'm shooting for, and they'll be uploaded on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that if you're not subscribed and you don't get notifications about new videos, which I suggest you do, but if you don't and you just go on Wednesday to see what's there, you'll want to start checking on Tuesdays and Thursdays for those 10-minute theology courses, and that's just easier. I think that'll be better for the way we're doing things right now. So now I want to talk about the distinction between what seems urgent and what is important. Because in various crises, we always think that something is very urgent and we don't understand what is important. And we've seen that, with the COVID crisis and various other current events that are on the news, that everybody feels like it's something urgent that we have that demands our focus, and yet in the scheme of eternity, we have to always measure what is important, and what is important is knowing the Lord and walking with Jesus and knowing in whom you have believed. And all for the Christian, everything in our life should be measured in the scheme of eternity. And so I wanted to read out of Luke chapter 10, and I'll be reading verses 38 through 41. As they were traveling along, Jesus went into a village. A woman named Martha welcomed her into her home. She had a sister named Mary. Mary sat at the Lord's feet and listened to him talk. But Martha was upset about all the work she had to do. So she asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work all by myself? Tell her to help me." The Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you worry and fuss about a lot of things. There's only one thing you need. Mary has made the right choice, and that one thing will not be taken away from her." What we see here is a scenario where Jesus is teaching about the kingdom, and Mary is listening. She's encountering the Lord. And Martha has been distracted by the mundane things of life, and it has become urgent in her mindset. And Jesus says, the one thing that's needful is what's happening here, where you sit at my feet. And I would remind you that in the face of life, and we all have to do life, and there are things we have to do on a daily basis, and those can be things that seem urgent, and they must be done. However, they're not important enough to ignore what God has called us to. And what I suggest is that those things that are important in God's eyes are immediate. They are of immediate need. That if your soul was required of you today, would you be obsessed with current events, or would you be interested in the Lord and getting close to him? If you knew that the Lord was coming for your soul today, would you be watching the news or reading your Bible? And that's the distinction between the urgent and the important. And you will have times in your life when there's a trial and you'll think that everybody should drop what they're doing around you because of your urgent experience. But let's not forget what's important. And we all have that. We all have that stress. I have the pressure of what feels urgent that falls upon me, just like you. But I have to remember what is important, and that's walking with Jesus and living before him with a pure heart in his sight. And we want to come back to that, sitting at the feet of Jesus, having your devotions, making Jesus the main thing, because the main thing is the main thing, and he's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So I would encourage that distinction between what is important and what is urgent. What is important is going to heaven, and I want to continue that idea just for a few
So
more
as
minutes. As I was talking about the difference between what is urgent and important, and I want to tell you where this thought of a devotional came from me. And it was an old hymn, and the other day I was singing it, and I began to realize, well, what's important is going to heaven, and what's important is going there in fellowship with all those who have gone on before and will again, and all the struggles of life that exist won't exist in heaven. And even some of the misinterpretations and personal struggles between people won't exist in heaven. We'll all gather together and worship the Lord there, and there will be peace and beauty, and all those things that seem urgent, that demand our attention and distract us from what is important, will be gone, and there'll only be Jesus there. So I wanted to sing this old hymn, "Shall We Gather at the River," and because I think it defines what is important. And if we can define what is important, we can distinguish between the important and the urgent. Shall we gather at the river, where bright angels' feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing from the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river, beautiful, beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows from the throne of God. On the margins of the river, washing up its silver spray, we will walk and worship ever, all that happy golden day. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful, beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows from the throne of God. Ere we reach that shining river, lay we every burden down. Grace our spirits will deliver and provide a robe and crown. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful, beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows from the throne of God. Soon we'll reach that shining river. Soon our pilgrimage will cease. Soon our happy hearts will quiver with a melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows from the throne of God. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful, beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows from the throne of God. So we will gather at the river, and all those things that burden us, that seem urgent, will fall away as we gather at the river and worship the Lord together. And our focus will be completely on Jesus, and it will be a wonderful time. And even those struggles that you've had in the church or in Christianity and with people, that will all fall away. There'll be pure and perfect fellowship at the river. And those are good things. So I hope this will inspire you to be thinking about the difference between what is urgent and what is truly important. Lord bless you.